It's a 1 year anniversary.
It's our 1 year anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
Ari, you sound really low to me, Ari.
Yeah, you just sound a little quiet today.
Hello.
It's our 1 year anniversary.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do something special, but we didn't plan anything.
Somebody asked me in a call this week. They were like, "Okay, I have to ask you, is that Charlie singing the song?"
Oh yeah.
I was like, no, it's Ari.
Yeah.
You're like, well, you're obviously not a long-time listener, because if you were, you would know.
It's another Friday. This week I did it my way. I made lots of juice, and now I feel a boost. Baby say, oh, it's the way I make my juice. Pressing fruits and roots. This week I did it my way. Baby say, oh, now let's have some fun. There is nothing greater than Fridays at Goodnature.
Ow, ow, ow! What's up, my juice lovers? Welcome to Good Nature Radio. This is your host, Charlie Wetlaufer, joined by the two top juice business consultants in the world, Chef Ari Sexner and the one and only Olivia Esquivel. They're also our superstar instructors in the Good Nature School of Juice. Use code GNRadio for $100 off any course. Wow, imagine that. $100 free. And special announcement. It is the 1 year anniversary of Good Nature Radio.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Thank you. And it's also Olivia's 1 year anniversary of working with Good Nature. Congrats to you, Olivia. You've made many happy customers out there and improved the juicing world for so many individuals. And to celebrate the 1 year anniversary, we're going to be giving away a signed copy of the Juicing Companion book.
Whoa.
The author, Chef Ari. We will send it to you. All you have to do is go on YouTube and comment on this podcast and be following us. You can comment anything you want. Just tell us your favorite thing about Good Nature Radio. How about that? Tell us, go comment on the video and just tell us one thing you love about Good Nature Radio, and you will automatically be entered. We'll randomly choose a winner the following week and hit you up on YouTube. We will reply and ask you to follow up with your shipping info. Get that sent out. So that's exciting. Just search
awesome.
for Good Nature. Just search for Good Nature Radio on YouTube, and you'll find us there. And before we get started, I'd just like to read a very nice comment we got in the Good Nature Facebook group this past week by someone named Ini Isang. Do you know is that how you spell it? You guys know?
Yeah, that's
You
right.
don't know?
Spell it or
Okay.
say it. I don't know how to say it.
Or I don't know how to say it. Ini Isang, I'm going with. Hi, everyone. This post is to shout out Ari Sexner and Olivia Esquivel for being incredibly helpful and gracious people that I totally respect. I signed up for the free consultation and walked away with far more than expected. Both provided candid, valuable insights and education from two different perspectives. Ari was more tactical and Olivia was more strategic. I'm over the moon regarding my experience. I'm looking forward to purchasing a Good Nature consulting package. Thank you, Charlie, Olivia, and Ari, for everything you do for this community. Thank you so much. Thank you for the public recognition there. It's very sweet of you. All right. And it is officially fall season. Pumpkin season is totally underway. If you listen to our fall recipe episode or like seasonal refresh episode a couple weeks ago, I hope that by this week you're officially launching your pumpkin products. You'll see pumpkin everywhere for the next few weeks. Pumpkin milks, pumpkin cakes, pumpkin juices, pumpkin smoothies. Should have something festive on your menu. It officially seems like people are getting into the spirit. Just jogging around my neighborhood this morning. There's skeletons and witches and everything out in the lawns already. So it's officially fall season. And it's in the air, guys. I don't know if you feel it, but I definitely feel it.
Yeah.
Oh, we feel it, Charlie. We feel it.
If it doesn't move, add pumpkin to it.
That's right.
That's what I always say.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
I got
even
my
if you
pumpkin
just shake
cookies out today.
All you got to do is shake a little pumpkin spice on there, right? And all of a sudden they'll fly off the shelves.
Yes.
Just keep your pockets full of it.
Pumpkin spice,
Just walk around and throwing it everywhere.
Just like fairy dust, like.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. So, but that also means, since pumpkin season is here, it means coming sooner than you might think is juice cleanse season coming up. New Year's, right after New Year's. Basically, juicing kind of dips down between now and all the way till New Year's Day. And right after New Year's Day, it spikes up because everyone has New Year's resolutions. You can see the same thing with gym memberships, and everybody in the health and wellness community. Pretty much the busiest time of year was in the couple of weeks after New Year's for anything sort of like, New Year, New You type promotions. So it's a perfect time to be armed and ready for a huge juice cleanse promotion. And I know, Olivia, you also do a Black Friday promotion as well, correct?
Yeah, so it should even really be coming faster than New Year's. You should be thinking about it for Black Friday. A lot of people do like the turkey trot after Thanksgiving Day. It's really become a popular thing. So I would say that my New Year's cleanse sales do beat my Black Friday, but not by a lot. So if you're planning on doing a Black Friday push, which I really, really advise, remember that after Black Friday comes Small Business Saturday. So you'll have a local push in your local communities to be getting people to your downtowns or wherever your local small businesses are. So take advantage of that. But if you are planning on doing a Black Friday or Small Business Saturday cleanse sale, you need to be preparing for that now. So I was on the phone all day today with people getting ready to do those cleanses. And I do have a package with that through Goodnature.
Cool. So we'll put a link for that in the show notes if you're looking to get a juice cleanse promotion put together for Black Friday or New Year's. Olivia can help you out with all the logistics. And if you need any help, recipes or kind of formulating cleanses, Ari's a guy there. He's designed recipes for probably thousands of juice cleanses at this point. Ari, when you're kind of putting together, formulating a juice cleanse from scratch, how do you like to think about it?
Yeah, there's so many options. I mean, first of all, I'm not a nutritionist, but when I started out working with Goodnature, I'd say about half the juice operations, the owners are nutritionists or in the health field somehow. So I definitely picked up tons of information where we exchange information. I tell them how to run an operation. They tell me health benefits for certain things. So the biggest thing with a juice cleanse is it's giving your body a rest from needing to process the fibers and easily absorb nutrients for that day. So you're kind of just giving your body a reset, like a day off, basically. So there's a lot of different cleanses that you can focus on specific health benefits. The real popular one the last few years is definitely detox. That one is definitely a huge seller. Olivia, is that probably, you offer a detox, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, is that like your number one?
Detox is it's just like pumpkin, right? Anything you put detox on, it's going to fly out the shelf. Yeah. It's just one of those buzzwords. So one thing I have been seeing is a lot of people naming juices detox, and then when they come to me to put together a cleanse, it can be a little bit confusing because they have juices named detox and then they have a detox cleanse. So that kind of goes back to branding and just making sure that you're not just throwing out names for juices or smoothies or bowls, but really being intentional about if you're ever going to use that word again. You don't want to maybe use a strong word like detox on a water, a $5 water, when you can use it on a cleanse that makes you $55, $60. So just be careful. I mean, there's some great words out there that really, particularly with cleanses, sell a lot, and you just want to make sure you use them for your money makers.
Yeah. So Robin, who works for Goodnature, put together an awesome kind of guide to structuring a cleanse as well, which I definitely recommend checking that out. But at the very basics of a cleanse is you have your starter, which is the one you drink first off. In the cleanse, typically you can go a couple different routes. A lot of times it's something that's high in citrus and possibly a little bit of heat, maybe a cayenne, fresh chili. And the reason for that is when I've talked to people, they said that's kind of like an internal toothbrush. You know, it jumpstarts your metabolism, cleans out your system, and gets that moving. So that's kind of the first one you usually do. I've seen some places where they'll actually replace that with a pure celery juice, which is also great to have very first thing in the morning, just a pure celery juice. So that's kind of number one in the cleanse. The next 4 options, or however many in the middle section, it kind of breaks down into what the main focus of the cleanse is. You know, and there's so many, like we mentioned, like the detox. There's low sugar, immune boosting right now is great for kind of the seasons. There's gut health. There's even like a beginner cleanse where you'll do a little more maybe fruit focused juices, or more experience where mostly vegetable. And then I always like to end it with a plant-based milk. You know, and the reason why I like doing that is if you end with a juice that has a little bit of natural sugar in it, it might be tough to sleep. And kind of the healthy fats from plant-based milk really help with a lot of things, but also with sleep. So it's got those healthy fats in there. And that's kind of the basics of a cleanse. There's a lot of different options to be able to switch things out and make it truly custom to your operation.
Yeah, I've done quite a few juice cleanses in my days. The longest one I've done is 7 days. Done a couple 7-day cleanses, a couple 5 days, a couple 3 days. I would say definitely when you're in a calorie deficit, it does get a lot harder to sleep. Whether you're doing a juice cleanse or just fasting or whatever, when your body knows you're getting less calories than you're burning, you like kind of sleep lighter, wake up earlier. It's a little bit harder to sleep. I totally agree with the nut milk at night. The fats kind of make you feel full. It's the closest thing you can get to a meal while you're on a pure like liquid juice cleanse like that. So I think that's a really good tip. So Olivia, say you get the perfect formulated juice cleanse, whether you're just taking 6 of your existing recipes or making new ones. How do you actually promote it to get people in the store picking up like a 1 day, 3 day, 5 days of your awesome cleanse?
Yeah. So, for me, it's really important that juice bars be selling cleanses every single day. Of course we see when we're working with clients, we see their food costs and they range anywhere from really, really great to, sometimes need a little bit of work or sometimes right in the middle. It should be that you make the most revenue on your juices than anything else. That's what I've seen to be true in my operation and in other operations. If it's not true, then you can really work with Ari to make sure that your food cost is where it should be. So like today I was talking to a client that wants to do a juice cleanse program with me, and she was upside down, meaning that she was making, it seemed to her that she was making more money on smoothies and bowls than she was doing on juices. And the more and more I dug into that, it was because it was issues with juice production that she was having. Going back to like peeling all of their citrus, all of these things that they're doing that, Chef Ari can help them find efficiencies in. But I think it's really important. And if you take nothing from what I say today, please understand that you should be selling cleanses or at least 6-pack of juices every day without bogging down your back of the house, no matter how small or how big your operation is. If you're doing $300 a day in sales, if you're doing $3,000 a day in sales, people should be walking in and walking out with 6 packs of juices. If you are not there, then you need to work with Chef Ari and I. Like, you are leaving money on the table. It doesn't matter. You can tell me people in your community don't buy cleanses. That's not true. You can tell me you live in a cow town and nobody will buy juices. That's not true. Chef and I have worked with, we've heard it all, right? Like, oh, it's just not in my culture. They don't. Nope, that's not true. If you're not selling them, something is wrong. And that's your first sign you need to reach out to us to see if we can help you figure out what the low-hanging fruit is to turn this around for you. So you should be selling cleanses every day. You should have 1 or more juice cleanse programs that fit for different lifestyles. In my opinion, I really like to have a one-size-fits-all cleanse that you push 9 times out of 10. Should be a mixture of beginner, intermediate, and advanced juices. It should be suitable for first-time cleanser. Should be suitable for a Charlie. Should be sort of run the gamut of, like Chef said, those greens, those detoxes, maybe those roots, and then end with a nut milk. So the first thing is, I think most juice bars that I've talked to are doing this wrong. They've created so many barriers to guests walking in and being able to walk out with cleanses. They put in rules like you have to have a 24-hour notice, 48-hour notice, 4-day notice. You can only pick up on Tuesday in the third blue moon of the month. All of these weird things, and I don't understand why it is. I do understand why it is. It's because it's a problem with production and they feel like it's too overwhelming. But really, if you've got your production right, you should have the right amount of juice to be able to handle that capacity without wasting juice, without running out or anything like that. So the promotion for something like a Black Friday or a New Year's cleanse, if you're selling cleanses all the time, like we should be, you've got to up the ante because they should be used to you having a cleanse promo 365 days of the year. So this is the time where you walk into holiday stores or any sort of store and you see bundles of gifts, or they even now in these makeup stores they even sell the testers. I'm like, what the hell? Those things used to be for free, but they sell everything with a little red ribbon on it. So those are the things you need to start talking about. So give them something more than their normal juice cleanse promo. Maybe it's you throw in a free shot. Maybe it's you throw in a cooler. Maybe it's you have some special cute cup that you give. But there should be something that really takes the cake for them to sort of switch from, I'm just going to buy 2 or 3 juices, but I might as well go ahead and get the holiday cleanse. And that's where you start seeing the money roll in. So regular day cleanses, they should be able to walk in and walk out or place an order if they want. Holiday cleanses, if you're doing it right, because you've talked to us, they should be coming in by the dozens, by the hundreds. We had a podcast with Caroline Watson. She came in, she was my first Goodnature client for my juice, and she bought juice cleanse package with me, and then she bought 5 other packages. If you remember, she was really data oriented. She had a specific number she wanted to do, and she ended up doing 275 juice cleanses, which was crazy. Now, of course, 275 juice cleanses you cannot sell out of the fridge. At that point, once you're really promoting for holiday, you need to have a system together with your back of the house, a production system where you're taking orders. You have specific pickup dates, last day of the cleanse sale, and then, little tricks along the way to make sure that your back of the house is able to keep up with the production. Because what you don't want to happen, right, Chef, is that they're just fulfilling all of those cleanse orders and then your front of the case is completely empty. So it's definitely a sticky situation. I don't recommend that you go into a full-fledged cleanse promo without talking to Ari and I to make sure that you're doing it right, because it could really flop if you don't do it the right way, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's so many different your main goal is to get as many bottles of juice through your operation as possible, and if you don't have your food cost or production kind of process all ironed out and ready to go, you could be losing money the more business you have. So
right. If you've got it priced wrong, important. If you've got it priced wrong. So what are some
for sure practical things you can look at, if you're one of these juice bars, it's well, no, I have to take orders 3 days in advance because I need to know how much produce to buy and I have to schedule my employees to make the cleanses. So how do you transition from that mindset to actually just always being ready to sell cleanses?
Yeah, it's simple. You need to every week meet with a team and discuss your bottleneck. What is the issue? What is the worst case scenario that might happen? How do you fix that? And say, my bottleneck is, labeling bottles or fill-in bottles. Mm-hmm. So you should be working on that every week, and determining the next thing in line and working with the staff and having things in place to be able to move to the next step, whether it's, maybe you're at the situation to make a jump in juicer size or have some kind of automated equipment or some kind of labeling machine, But it's extremely important to talk to your team, especially if you're not involved with kind of the juice production, to see what is coming up, how they're what areas they're kind of redlining in, and what kind of adjustments they can make.
And two, like one thing that I've noticed as an owner operator, I'm never on the press. Okay. And so for me, it's a really weak point of knowing how long should this take? Right now, of course, I know working with a Goodnature team, like what, best case scenario and worst case scenario, when somebody tells me like they can't add another SKU to another flavor because they're spending 4 hours of prep, I'm like, whoa, like something's not right here. But for me, what I like to do is, if I have more than one juice presser, one associate that's pressing, I go by the fastest person. I know who the fastest, most efficient person is. And so I will say, how long does this recipe take you from start to finish? How long does it take you to make it? Oh, well, it takes me probably 52 minutes from the time that I pull it out, I wash, I weigh, I press, I bottle, I cap, I label, and put it in the fridge, right? Okay, well and we're on the X1, right? And maybe that's a double batch or something like that. Maybe that's 48 bottles. I don't know. From that point, then I know how to talk to the rest of the team. If somebody on my team is taking an hour and a half to do the same recipe, we've got a problem. Okay, so we've got to work with not just the production and what can we do first, but we've got to work with a sense of urgency. And I think honestly, one of the biggest complaints that I hear from juice bar owners is they're like, I feel like I can't leave the juice bar because every time I do, I come back and nothing has been done. Or it takes them all so long and I'm spending so much time on labor. So I just do it myself because it's cheaper. You have to demand a sense of urgency from your staff. Like, they can talk and they can have a good time, but have an idea, even if you're not on the press yourself, of how much every single task should take. Worst case scenario, best case scenario, average, and work to increase that. But like Chef said, in my shop, we just moved to labeling juices the day before. So if Monday, like today was our greens day, if we happened to be filming on a Monday, then, we would be pressing greens on a Monday, where on Sunday they were labeling the green bottles. So that when the presser came in on Monday, he was washing, weighing, producing, bottling in bottles that were already labeled for him the day before. So as much as you can get going, right? And so there's all these little tips of the trade, whether it's in production or whether it's in bottling or getting it out front or who's going to date it and who's all of those things. Like there's not one secret. Like there's a lot of different tips to making sure that it, one, gets out quickly, that you have enough. And Charlie, to your point, I think like, how do you know how to do it? Well, you look at your sales of like, okay, well, how many cleanse orders are we taking a day? How many, or a week or a month or ever? How many bottles of juice? And then you can start to increase your par. So if you know that you're selling 20 green juices of green juice a day, then let's go ahead and start making 30 of those green juices and hope that we can sell 10 cleanses in the 5 days or 7 days or however long that shelf life is for that juice out the door. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to think of like the mind state difference, right? Between like, well, we have to everything 3 days in advance. So like, no, guys, we're just going to produce on a schedule and we're going to try to sell as many cleanses as we can. And it's almost like a different way of thinking about it, Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, then we can touch on equipment a bit. Definitely need to be using a real juice press if you're doing cleanses because of shelf life and efficiency and everything and nutrition. Probably if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are using a Goodnature machine, but if you're not, really should be. Like trying to bottle juice made on centrifuges is not good, or masticating juicers, they just separate a lot and have shorter shelf life. So definitely need to be using a real press. And if you are using a Goodnature machine, you need to be using machine size appropriate if you are running a juice cleanse business. An M1 is not going to do it. Like an M1 might make enough to stock a cooler, but it's not going to make enough to stock a cooler and sell juice cleanses every day. Basically, like if you want to think about capacity difference, making 100 bottles of juice on an M1 is going to take you a full day. Making 100 bottles of juice on X1 Mini is going to take you 3-4 hours. And making 100 bottles of juice on X1 can be as little as an hour if you have everything organized and prepped. So probably less than that. But I've met multiple business owners who make 1,000 bottles of juice a day in an X1 in a full day. So it's pretty crazy how much juice you can actually make on an X1.
It's a weird thing because the thing that takes the longest is not the juicing. You know, it's everything else. Like, because you could just pour produce in a lot of times into the X1 and just press it. The thing that takes a while is weighing and washing the produce, bottling, labeling. Those are your real issues. So, I mean, if you're able to organize your production, it's unbelievable how much time you could save. You know, and the number one thing for speeding up your production is not doubling back on stuff. You know, and what I mean by that is you're weighing and washing all your produce, do everything at one time. You know, you juice and everything, knock it all out at once time. And then if you're bottling, you know, if you have other people, have them fill in those tasks. But that's why it's so important to look at your whole operation, your entire menu, because it could be so much, you could save so much time by splitting your menu in half, doing double production of half your menu one day, double production the other half the next day, you know, and just have it where it makes sense depending on like minimal cleanup between recipes. There's so many little
and like being busy, staying busy while the press is pressing and not just standing there waiting for it to finish.
Oh my God, that's huge.
That's a big one where we actually get complaints occasionally, or someone says false advertising. I bought the X1 Mini and I can only make 5 bottles of juice per hour. Like, what are you talking about? You know, and then you ask them like, what's going on? It's like they will prep produce for one recipe, then grind it and press it and stand there and wait for it to finish
and watch it.
Then they'll watch it and then they'll take the juice and they'll bottle it and then they'll go on to the next recipe. So they only get 2 recipes done per hour, you know, or something.
Yeah.
But then you watch somebody that's really got everything organized, like Ari says, maybe you organize it so you do prep first and then do juicing. Like they're pumping out 30, 40 bottles an hour through an X1 Mini, you know. So it really is. The juice machine is one part of the full process, and there's so many other steps involved, from buying produce, weighing produce, prepping produce, weighing it. Then you juice it, and then the bottling it, putting it into the cooler, merchandising it. So yeah, it really depends on how you organize the process.
Chef, 2 of the culprits that I've seen like sort of coming up lately in my conversations with Goodnature clients is, one, they're taking an extremely long time with citrus. Like they're peeling everything, they're grinding everything. I mean, it's like citrus is weighing them down big time because they're taking extra steps that, you know, may or may not be necessary. If you could maybe talk about that. And then the second thing is the washing. Like somebody told me they spent as much time washing their produce as they do juicing, bottling, labeling. And I was like, like, are you washing it with a toothbrush? Like what's happening in that process? Can you give any tips on those 2? Because I know that's something that's been coming up a lot. Yeah.
So, I mean, everything's personal preference, you know, try it out, see if it works. When I do in-person consulting with people, I tell them, first thing I tell them is, I'm going to show you guys tons of ways to do stuff. You know, not everything's going to stick. You know, at least try it though. You know, so for citrus, lemons and limes, I definitely prefer the flavor of having it unpeeled, quartered and in the press, and then the produce ground on top. I find you get a much better flavor for lemons and limes. Like you get a little bit of the oils, you don't get the bitterness. Doesn't always work with it. Usually never works with oranges and grapefruits. There's kind of certain ways to do that with the larger presses, but usually those need to be peeled. So that's a huge time saver. And washing produce. I mean, have a system in place. You know, it's extremely important to wash your produce correctly. So one thing I do with that is I make sure I have my recipes by weight. I have a bin. I have it on the scale. I'm putting produce in there. I'm not worried about handling with my bare hands because it's not washed yet. so I don't worry about gloves or anything like that. I'm loading up everything. Once I have all my recipes weighed out for that day, then I go through and I start the washing process. And if I have a 3-compartment sink or a produce wash sink, I'll have everything in those bus tubs, those separate recipes, and I'll just run it like a conveyor belt and have it, running under cold water, removing the debris and stones, and then using some kind of extra wash, which I recommend, like a antimicrobial wash or whatever you guys are using. So just kind of run it like a conveyor line to speed up that process. That really helps.
Yeah, I've heard that some people are like actually like scrubbing their produce with like a brush.
Yeah, like stuff like carrots and beets. You have that little ring on the top that's impossible to clean. Just cut it off. Yeah. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
There's some people that take it to the extreme and peel their carrots and beets. If that's something you want to be known for, or it works great for your operation, then keep it up. If it's not affecting your labor, then do it. That's why these kind of troubleshooting tips, it's not black and white across the board. You have options, try them out. If it doesn't affect the color and flavor that you're going for, it doesn't affect the cost, then it sticks, and go with it.
Is the microbial wash required?
No, only cold running water. I think an added wash after that, whatever product you're using, I think should definitely be required, but it's not. It's just cold running water.
Yeah, I would say definitely if you're using a Goodnature machine, you should not be peeling your carrots. It makes no difference at all. Like if you if you look at, I've done the comparison. If you choose peeled carrots and you juice them with the peel on, the juice comes out the same. It tastes the same. It looks the same. You might. I mean, I guess what the argument would be, like, it's safer because you're taking off that outer layer, just to be extra safe. But I think the problem is some people come from other juicers, right? Like, so if you're using a masticating juice like a Kuvings or a Namawell at home,
yes,
and you don't peel the carrot, it's going to taste much more bitter because the outer layer of a carrot is bitter because it keeps animals from eating it or whatever. It's kind of like the protective layer. But in a Goodnature machine, you grind it, and then when you press the juice out, that skin stays in the press bag, does not come through into the juice like it does in other juicing methods. So the carrot juice comes out much sweeter. So for that reason, do not need to be peeling carrots, don't need to be peeling pineapples, don't need to be peeling a lot of things that you do with other juicing methods. Like Chef Ari says, if it doesn't affect the taste or the color, don't have to remove the peel, right?
Yeah. It's in the book that you could win.
It's in the book that you could win. Like I noticed this the other day because I was doing inventory. So my hands were on every single thing in the juice bar. But one of the things that I was weighing out were apples. And, they have stickers on every apple. And I was like, my God, do we peel every sticker off these apples? Well, it turns out they're actually food grade. Like it feels weird to throw them in to the juicer, right?
It's
and
50-50.
But the ones I have, I actually asked, they're food grade. So like essentially it's sort of like what you put in the dishwasher if you have like dates, and they're they sort of dissolve. Yeah. Anything
is like on food is basically will be food grade for sure. And believe me, if you're a health inspector and not listen to this, but it's so I did get in trouble before on this issue. It's completely safe. The whole thing, like, there's not going to be any issue at all. But some cases, if you're getting inspected, the health inspector will come in and be like, "Oh, you're not washing this properly." I got dinged one time for running a sushi station, and they had an avocado there with a sticker on it.
Yeah,
not
why would you peel that off?
You
You're
wash
not eating
avocados, but they saw a sticker on an avocado and they're like, "Oh, you don't wash your produce properly." But
it's like, well, you're not even eating the skin on an avocado.
Stickers?
Yeah.
Like those organic stickers, it touches water. That sticker's like glued onto the produce. It's such a pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I would say remove stickers, but don't stress out about it. Like if you miss a couple, it's not going to matter. It's going to stay in the press bag with the skin and the seeds and the stems, just like all the other stuff you don't want to eat. So for sure. But yeah, there's plenty of stuff you can do. A lot of it is coming, like I said, coming from other juicing methods where you have to do a lot more prep. But some people are used to that. That makes so much
sense, yeah.
Like cutting pineapple up into little tiny cubes and removing the skin and peeling carrots and like cutting celery into small pieces because they're used to it jamming up their juicer. There's like all these kind of things where people develop these habits where once you tell them they don't have to do it, and we're like, oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
And save them a few hours out of their day.
It could save you hours a day in labor. And I think, back to the whole cleansing, like those are what's the word? Like walls that people put up on why they feel like they can't do a juice cleanse because there's inefficiencies in their production and they're not used to doing that kind of volume. Like I literally had somebody tell me today, Olivia, there's no way. I'm so scared if I do it, I'm going to like waste so much money. And I'm like, well, let's talk about it. She's like, I'm going to have to add 2 more people. I'm like, what? Like, why would you have to do that? So just talking through like, where are some things that they can be more efficient on and make sure that like, hey, this is the average time. You can set an expectation as a manager or, as a juice bar owner of like, here's your recipe for today. Here's your production list for today. It should take you X amount of time. This is plenty, you have plenty of time to do this. I didn't give you a list that shouldn't be able to be completed in your amount of time. Right. Those are all things that we have to really like sort of peel back the layers of the onion to figure out what's going wrong, where's some low-hanging fruit that we can fix in the operation from systems and processes before we jump into like what a cleanse. Like every cleanse that I develop or, system that I develop from them, it's not the same. Like we don't create any sort of cookie cutter. This is going to be your juice number 1. This is going to be your juice number 2. I look to see like what juices are working well for you. What is the food cost on them? What's a bestseller? That one's not a bestseller. Why not? Does it have a crappy name? Like, is it that you never produce it? Like trying to figure out what it is in their operation. Fix all of those things first and then develop the juice cleanse. It's not like you're paying us and we're just like sending you this cookie cutter list of 6 juices and telling you to call it a detox cleanse and suggesting what you sell it at. Every single one should be different. But I think it is our goal as industry leaders that every single operation be doing a great job at whatever it is that they do. Because if somebody walks into a juice bar in Idaho and has a crappy experience and feels like they were out $55 from a juice cleanse, they're not going to buy a juice cleanse from my operation. They've already lost $55. So, I think it's really important that we not all be doing the same recipes, that you work with Chef Ari or get the Juicing Companion book and be using recipes or ideas or use that as a jumping off point to create different things. But I've talked to several people who are getting recipes not from Goodnature, but somewhere else. And they're finding trouble because their competitor in the same town is using the same recipes. So keep things true to yourself. There's so many different ways. We're all using the same fruits and veggies, but we should not all have the same recipes. And I think that's just so important.
So you're saying they're paying consultants or something? They're just selling them the same recipes?
Yeah, the same recipes over and over and over and over. It would be like if we all bought Chef Ari's book and we only juiced out of that recipe, every single recipe out of that book. And you know what I mean? Like that's a jumping off point. That's a place to start. Here's an idea. If you need one, sea moss smoothie, that doesn't mean that everything should come from there. It's just a great idea, just like a cooking book at home, and that's something I'm seeing in the industry. I literally talked to somebody the other day. I forget what state they're in, but somebody in the same town is using the same recipes they're doing. Clearly they didn't get it from Goodnature. And she's like, well, if I roll out with it now, I just look like an imposter. Like I stole their juice recipes, but really I paid for them. It just happens to be that I got the same recipe she got because I got it from the same consultant. So it's just really important, I think, for our industry. We all have mouths to feed. I think it's really important that we all be working to move the industry forward, not just be selling you this one size fits all recipe or systems and processes. Every single juice bar is different. When I have 3 juice bars at one time and they all have the same menu, every single one of my 3 juice bars has a different personality. It just does, because it's even with the same Olivia recipes. They're all a little bit different because that's how I sort of create them. And I hire people to, not be robots and to have their own personalities. But if you're just basing everything off of an ebook or some recipe book or something that everybody else in your area is using, it's going to come back and burn you.
Yeah, for sure. Which is why I love Ari's book, by the way, because it is not a recipe book. It's an idea book where
That's
he
right.
goes through all the different ingredients and just tells you, hey, here's some other ideas of things you could mix it with.
Absolutely.
Here's the other ingredients that go well, which is great. And there are some recipes in there. I think you have 30 recipes in there or something, but it more just gives you ideas. You can jump to the page for kale and tell you here's lots of things that go good with kale, and here's some recipe ideas. And then if you just start with an idea instead of a recipe, it's going to be unique.
Yes.
For sure.
Right. It's a jumping off point.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I think in the class in the School of Juice, teaching creativity, I go in depth about that. And there's really a process like those cookie cutter recipes or stuff recipe books are a great foundation to get comfortable with the juicing process. And then it's time to take it a step further and develop your own personal flavors, your preferences, and your style of juice. So,
cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So if you want your own special signed copy of Chef Ari's book, The Juicing Companion, it's not a recipe book. It's an idea book. Head over to our YouTube channel, Goodnature Radio, and technically Goodnature channel, but we have our, what do they call it? A playlist for Goodnature Radio. Find this video, comment, tell us your favorite thing about our podcast, and you will be automatically entered to win your own signed copy. It might be worth millions of dollars someday.
I'll personally sign it.
I will personally
with a cookie cutter stamp that is just don't be coming out with a stamp that every single person gets the same stamp.
I might even put lipstick on and give it a kiss.
I want to see like a juice smear or some
Next to
sort
my
of
signature
something. Pumpkin spice.
Rub some juice pulp on it or something.
Yeah, I want to know it really came from you.
It's funny. Alrighty, well, I hope everybody has a good start to October, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
It's another Friday. This week I did it my way. I made lots of juice, and now I feel a boost. Baby say, oh, it's the way I make my juice. Pressing fruits and roots. This week I did it my way. Baby say, oh, now let's have some fun. There is nothing greater than Fridays at Goodnature.